Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 2023 Kia Forte LXS, and it's almost the base model Kia Forte, Kia's compact sedan, for the 2023 model year. The LXS is a mere $500 above the bare bones LX, and it's probably worth that $500 because it gives you alloy wheels, back seats that fold down, and a much wider choice of color than the base LX. And more to the point, the LXS models are far more common on dealer lots, so this is probably what you're going to run into in the real world. And the base MSRP on this car is a clean $19,990 plus destination charge, accessories, dealer markups, whatever it is. So today what I'm going to do for you is review this car. We're going to go over the engine and the transmission. We are going to measure out the cargo space. We'll look at the passenger room. We'll look at the convenience features and the safety features and see just what it is you get for $19,990 plus. And as always, if some of that sounds interesting and some of it sounds boring, check the description below for timestamps. Now we're going to start talking about the engine and the transmission, and on this LXS model we get a 2-liter dual overhead cam inline 4 with 147 horsepower and 132 torque. Kind of underwhelming numbers from the engine, but it is efficient. It feels quick enough. It's relatively smooth and refined. The engine works fine for this car, and it does get pretty good mileage. The Forte LX and LXS come with what Kia calls the intelligent variable transmission. This is a continuously variable transmission, but I will say that it masks that fact very well. It acts and feels much like a regular automatic. There's nothing at all offensive about it. Most people won't even notice that it's not a standard automatic transmission. They probably won't notice the transmission at all because it just kind of goes about its business and does its thing. Now, it should be noted that if you want something a bit sportier, it is possible to move up to a turbo in the Kia Forte. That's a 1.6-liter unit with 201 horsepower. And if you get that, you either get a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission or a 6-speed manual. So that is pretty cool that Kia gives you that option if you want something a little quicker, a little sportier, but still in the compact car package. Now we're going to measure out the cargo area in this Kia Forte, so I'm going to put new batteries in my laser tape measure and do just that. The length of the trunk from the rear of the trunk to the back seat with the seat up, 3 feet and 5 inches. The maximum width of the trunk at the rear of the cargo area is 4 feet and 6 inches. The minimum width of the trunk in between the wheel wells, 3 feet and 6 inches. The height of the trunk on the inside of it, 1 foot and 10 inches. The length of the cargo area with the back seat folded down is approximately 5 feet and 10 inches. I say approximately because that is the length to the back of that front seat, so it does kind of depend on where you have that set, but it's in kind of a mid position right now, so I'll say approximately 5 feet 10 inches. It should again also be noted that if you just get the base LX model, you can't fold down the seats at all. You have to step up an extra $500 to get the LXS to be able to do that. And when you do fold the seat down, you do have a little bit of a hump. It's not a totally flat load floor, but it does give you some additional length for your cargo area. And if you need to lift something into the back of your Kia Forte, you are going to have to lift it 2 feet and 4 inches off the ground. And just for fun, we'll have a look under here. We do not get a spare tire with this car, but we do get some additional cargo storage in sort of the shape of a spare tire area. And it looks like we have an air pump and a can of Fix-A-Flat as per federal law. You probably could take that out of there and fit a spare tire kit if you wanted to, but they don't give you one from the factory. Now we're going to have a look at the passenger room in this car, and for this test I like to use myself. I'm 6'5", so let's see if I can sit behind myself in a Kia Forte. Okay, so as we can see, I can sit in the front right here. I have enough knee room. My head is not hitting. I've got enough room here. And if I get in the back, I have barely enough knee room. My knees are kind of just barely up against this piece. I don't quite have enough headroom. The top of my head is up against the ceiling there, but I would say that overall the passenger room is good for such a small car, and I am 6'5", but my torso is longer than my legs, so I think the passenger room is quite good in the Forte. That's my driving position. There's not a whole lot of room behind me, but you know, it's not bad for a small car. Now we're going to start talking about the convenience features on this Kia Forte, and we are going to start with the key. Get it? Now this 2023 Kia Forte LXS just has the standard switchblade key. You have to put it in the ignition, turn it to start it. You have the buttons on the key fob as well to lock and unlock the car for keyless entry, but you don't have the full keyless access or push button start. That is a feature that's available on higher trim level Kias. Now, as I'm sure everyone has heard by now, some jackleg on TikTok figured out that you can steal very easily Kias built from 2011 to 2021 that have the standard key, kind of like this one, where you put it in the ignition and turn it. Apparently those Kia models were not equipped from the factory with the immobilizer devices, so you just need to bust open the ignition cylinder and turn it, and the engine will start, making those vehicles very simple to steal. So if you do have one of those Kias, again between 2011 and 2021 model year, with a standard key, not the push button start, then you need to be very careful. Always make sure to lock your car. You may want to put some additional anti-theft devices on the vehicle just to be safe. If you have one of those with the push button start, you're okay because they do have a digital immobilizer, but apparently this 2023 model does have an immobilizer. I haven't tried to start it with a USB drive, so I can't say for sure, but I'm going to take Kia's word on that. Moving inside of the cabin to talk about some of the other convenience features, and for a car with a base MSRP just under $20,000, I would say that this Forte LXS is pretty well equipped. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that is certainly a nice feature to have. One interesting thing is on the website, on Kia's website, it says this model does not come with a front USB charging port, but it certainly does. It's right there in front, in between two 12-volt kind of cigarette lighter style charging ports. I find that to be sort of strange. You just have the one USB port in this car. It does charge a cell phone, and then you've got the two other additional charging ports that you can plug stuff into there. So you'll still be able to charge your devices, and you don't need to use the USB port for the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto. So that's a pretty good deal. Another thing that I really like in this car is the HVAC system, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. The air conditioner works very well. I haven't used the heater because it's been kind of warm since I've had the car, but specifically what I really like about it is the air blending system. And this is not unique to the Kia Forte, but a lot of times on cheaper entry-level cars like this one, I see this feature where you have this knob where you really have a lot of control over where the air is being blown. You can set it to blow just on your face and your feet, or just your feet. But then if you put the dial halfway in between one of those settings, then you end up with it sort of 75% on your feet and 25% on your face. I like that a lot. I love having the option to be that precise with my air distribution. And I find a lot of times when you get into higher end cars with fancy dual zone digital automatic climate control systems, this option goes away and you just end up with sort of rigid buttons as far as what you can pick where the air is going. I far prefer this setup, this kind of manual setup, strictly for the air distribution, and I wish automakers figured out some kind of way to include this in the dual zone automatic climate control systems. And while we're talking about the interior, I think that it's very well laid out. You have various places to put cell phones. It's a comfortable place to be. The materials quality is, I would say, average for the class. If you would have gone back in time 5 or 10 years, I would say that it would be excellent for the class, but these standards do keep progressing. And at this point, the best in the class certainly are better than this Kia Forte LXS, but the design is nice, the things look nice, it's relatively well put together, and the materials quality is not offensive, so it's okay. One point that I will make, if you scrutinize the features list online of the LXS, it claims that it has soft touch door trim. As far as I could tell, that's just this little bit of sort of fake leather right here where you rest your arm most of the time on the door. I suppose it is soft touch and nicer than hard plastic, but it's not going to make you or break you at the end of the day. And even on the entry-level Kia Forte, you do get this very nice 8-inch touchscreen. That is a relatively large touchscreen for an entry-level car like this. If you move up to the higher trim levels, you can get a larger touchscreen with factory navigation and everything else built in. But I think for a lot of customers, this 8-inch touchscreen will work just fine, and especially with the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you'll have no problem with this one and being able to get where you need to go with your smartphone connectivity. Now we're going to start talking about the safety features, and I would say that this Kia Forte LXS does have good safety features, but it's kind of the minimum as to what I would expect in this class right now from an automaker like Kia. But with that being said, you do get forward collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection as standard. That's on either the LX or the LXS model, so that will beep at you if it thinks you're going to hit something, and it can apply the brakes if you don't react in time to try to prevent the accident or lessen the severity of the accident. You also have driver attention warning, so if it thinks that you're not paying attention, it will sort of alert you to keep you paying attention to the road. And you have the lane keeping assist and the lane following assist, so it can beep at you if you're drifting out of your lane, and it can even control the steering a little bit as long as the car's camera can read the lane lines, so that you will stay in your lane, make the steering a little bit easier. It's not a self-driving system. You do still need to keep your hands on the wheel, pay attention to the road, and control the vehicle, but it is a nice feature to have. Unfortunately, one thing you don't get on the base model is adaptive cruise control. You do have standard cruise control, and you can set a speed limit for the car so that you don't exceed a certain speed. That's what these buttons here on the steering wheel are for, but you don't have adaptive cruise control. You have to move up to a higher trim level of Kia Forte to get that. And of course, we do still have all of the airbags, frontal airbags, side airbags in the front, side curtain airbags, and anti-lock braking systems, anti-skid system, traction control. All of those things are included as well. So relatively good package when it comes to the safety features, especially at a base MSRP that's just below $20,000. Thank you so much for watching my video on this Kia Forte LXS. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, and if you didn't like it, why'd you watch the video this long? It wasn't going to get better at the end.